What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is The Blacklist, Season 3, Episode 20, The Artax Network. Now, before I get started, I did want to say one thing. I am very thankful. The past two reviews that I've done of The Blacklist are actually my most watched videos. I know it may not seem like much when you look at some of the other people on YouTube. It's like, oh, I got 1 million views on the first week or something like that. For me, I'm still kind of just starting out, I haven't really been doing this for very long. Hasn't even been half a year yet, I don't think. And doing TV show reviews episode by episode isn't a popular thing. When I think about the popular YouTube channels, I think movie reviews, I think reaction videos, I think funny skits, stuff like that. So to just simply turn on my laptop, turn on the camera, and just film these reviews, and just do that for several months, and just do that, nothing more, nothing less. To be at a point where now I've finally got a video that's almost at this point to 2,000 views is really cool. And it's not even just, oh, we clicked on the video and done. No, people are, from what I see from the views to watch time ratio, people are actually watching it. So I really do appreciate you guys tuning in, especially because The Blacklist is a show that gets people talking. I think it's not one of the best shows ever, but it is a good show, and it is something that I think is now taking some steps into becoming something different. And I think it's in this episode, the Artax Network, I think it's still taking those steps, because we're still getting a transition, I think. Last week was a bit of a transition for Red. This week is a bit more of a transition for the rest of the team. You've got Cooper. He's looking to repair things with his wife. You got Wrestler, who's sort of dealing with the loss of his partner. Really wanting to track down her killers, even though they didn't technically kill her. Anyway, you've got Samara, I think, is just sort of, I don't know if she's detached or she's trying to hide her emotions really well, but she doesn't seem as emotionally torn as everybody else. And I think part of that is because of who she is. I can't remember what the name of it's the Israel secret soldiers or something like that. I can't remember what they're called now. Crap. That's gonna bug me. Anyway, but because she is sort of a hardened soldier, I think she has managed to reach that level of emotional detachment that even though, yeah, it hurts that Liz is gone, it's not something that's going to affect her job. She's still going to do her job well. Aram, I feel so bad for Aram, man. He is the character that I can relate to the most, because he's pretty much a nerd, and he's not everybody else on the team just seems like a badass, they can take on anything. Aram seems like the guy who's just sort of normal, he's very smart. That's his one thing, is that he's extremely smart, extremely gifted with computers and stuff, but as far as his skills physically, he's just sort of normal. He's not anything different than everybody else. And so to see him go through this is almost like me going through it. I can experience that myself now. And it really is affecting him. That scene at the gravesite where he starts reading that thing about Liz from Romeo and Juliet, I was kind of getting a little teary-eyed. It was just, Rob, I feel bad for you, man. Anyway, but like I said, it's still a bit of a transition. We're kind of learning more about this organization that was tracking Liz, was tracking this doctor that is meeting with this woman who also met with whatever her name is. I don't remember her name now, but the woman that was sort of helping out the team whenever the Cabal were trying to, invade the the task force. Like the director was in there. That one lady that was working with the director was in there. And then this one lady steps in to sort of help Liz, to keep Liz safe. I can't remember her name or her position, but apparently she's involved with this organization that they're up against now for somehow, some way. So we do learn a bit more about that, but overall it really is about the team and what they're dealing with right now. Red is still dealing with it, but this is kind of the episode where he finally decides that he is going to come back. He is going to do something about this. Because it felt like for most of this episode, that's what they were building to, because he was so, I can't go back, I can't help it all, I can't do anything, blah, blah, blah. You're going to go back, like it's just, you keep constantly saying, I'm not going back. By the end of the episode, they're going to go back. But, it was okay overall, I would say. Nothing spectacular. The two scenes that really did stand out were, one, Aram at the gravesite, and two, I think, Aram going to talk to Reddington. Like that scene, I don't know what it is about Aram, but he has the best moments for me. Maybe it is just personal because I connect with him, because I feel like that is me on some level, aside from the computer genius. Maybe that's why I connect more with these scenes, but the scenes where he's either emotionally involved with something or he's doing something that you expect a wrestler to do, or you expect Cooper or Reddington to do. Like the badass moments where you're just like, go Rom. Like he's doing something that nobody else would ever think to do. The scene where he goes visits Red at the little cabin or whatever it is he's staying at. At first it seems like just another Aram Red conversation. But Ron finally puts his foot down and pushes in the door and says, "Whenever I was standing at that gravesite, you said to me that if it weren't for me, Liz would be dead. Like, well, I'm here to collect the debt that you owe me, because you owe me for that." And I'm just like, yeah, go Rom. Standing up to Reddington is not something that a Rom would normally do, but in this moment he sees how desperate and dire the situation is, and he just, you know what? It's time. I need to stand up and do something. Unfortunately, though, Red turns that around on him somehow and turns it into, if I were to repay that debt, it would take more than I can do right now. So it's like, I don't really know. I guess the best way to explain it is you borrow $100 from a friend, and then they come to you whenever you spend it all and you still don't have money, and says, I'm here to collect that debt. I think that's how Reddington feels right now. He feels like what Aram did to save Liz cost him $1,000, and now he only has 50. And Aram's asking to collect on the debt. He's like, I don't have $1,000. I don't have that much to give. And so by the end of the episode, he finally does decide, you know what, I do have that much to give. But I feel like they could have handled that a bit better, because there wasn't really a moment where somebody got through to him. He has a conversation with Liz's granddad, which I'm going to talk about him a bit more in a second, but he has a conversation with him that maybe could have led to him feeling like, okay, yeah, I need to do something. But ultimately, it didn't come off very well. It's not something that stuck out to me as that's Red's turning point right there. Nothing really did that for me. Nothing made me think, he's back. It was just one moment he's talking to Liz's granddad. The next minute, he got Liz's granddad a metronome so he can play piano. And now he's visiting Rom saying, I'm here to repay my debt. And that's it. It just comes out of nowhere. They didn't really explain the turnaround for Red very well. Now, on to Liz's granddad. I thought it was very interesting to have him in this episode, just because we didn't know Liz had a granddad. We didn't know he existed. The fact that this is Katerina Rostova's father is a very interesting turn in the tale, and sort of we get a bit more backstory on Red and what happened. Like we still don't really know exactly what happened, but we do know that Katarina's dad blames Red for all of it. Not just what happened to Liz. He also blames him for what happened with Katarina as well. So it was pretty interesting to see that. However, I feel like they could have done more with him. Like maybe if last week's episode involved him a bit more, I think we could have done that much better. But because last week was so focused on Red, and now this week we're focusing on the team and how they're dealing with stuff, and then we also have Red dealing with Liz's granddad, it didn't work as well. It didn't flow as well as maybe it would have last week if they had thrown him in for some part of it. So, not bad, not good, just sort of somewhere in between. He was an interesting character to have thrown in. It was interesting to see the fact that Liz does have a granddad. There is somebody of the Rostovas that are still alive. However, is Katarina still alive? I don't think so. At the end, we see Tom giving that picture to Harold of the woman in the government that helped Liz, and then that strange woman that the doctor met with. And Tom's like, I think that's Katarina. I don't think so. In the previews for next week, I think Red said her name. I'm not sure what he said her name was, but I don't think that's her. I'm starting to think that maybe Katarina really is dead. Like, Red wasn't lying about it. Either that or she faked her death, changed everything about herself, and Red doesn't know. But I don't see how Red would be so confused and mixed up about that. Anyway, long story short, don't know who this woman is, don't know how she's going to fit into it all, why she wants all this information, but we do see the Artax network, or whatever it's called, the cameras that they were using to watch Liz and all of this, we see them finally taken down, so something did happen in this episode. It wasn't completely just story, but it was mainly story. The final thing I want to talk about is Tom. A lot of people have been commenting about how much they don't like what they were doing with Liz and Tom, and I have to agree. I didn't like how much they were focusing on that and not on the Blacklist, which is what the show is called. So I do want us to get back into the Blacklist. What it is, all these numbers. Like people being assigned numbers and stuff like that. I feel like we have lost that focus a little bit. So I would like to see us get back into that a touch more. Keeping Tom in the show might help. Hear me out, because I know a lot of people want Tom to be gone. At some point I would have agreed with you. But right now I feel like that baby is going to be the one thing that keeps Red fighting for something. And if Tom just leaves with the baby, I feel like Red's gonna lose his will to fight again. Like he has nothing to fight for without that baby in his life. So I feel like keeping Tom around, maybe not doing a lot of focus on, oh, here's Tom trying to take care of the baby all by himself. And, like we had a couple of those scenes and it was a bit hard to watch. Like, you're just watching going, poor guy, you're now talking to the baby. You're gonna be horrible as a single father. Like, maybe you'll learn. But I think if we can keep Tom in the show without focusing on, here's a man trying to take care of a baby by himself, without focusing on that aspect of it, but keeping him on as maybe another asset for the task force to use, it could be interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing him back, because what we saw at the end of this episode, the taking pictures, talking to Harold about his mission and what he's trying to do, he's still got some of that in him. And that's honestly the Tom that I liked. As weird as it sounds, like the first season, whenever we found out he was actually a secret agent, that's when he became interesting. And when he stopped being interesting was when he stopped trying to do all that spy stuff. When he tried to, oh, I'm going to change for you, Liz. He stopped being that interesting. he's just Tom now. I want to see a bit more of Jacob. You know, like I want to see a bit more of that. So maybe they will keep him on. Maybe they will keep him around for that reason. You know, because they need somebody else on the team like him. So anyway, moving forward, I would like to see this group that they're going after, whoever they're involved with. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the Cabal are involved at all. They haven't been talked about in the past few episodes, but you know, don't know who this is. So it's going to be interesting going forward, seeing who it is, how they connect to the Blacklist, if at all. And yeah, I want them to get back on track. You know, I want them to get the focus back onto this is the Blacklist. So our show is about the Blacklist. Let's talk about the Blacklist. You know, like let's get back to that. And I want Red to be back to the same old Red. You know, I want him to get back to that. I think I've talked about before in season 2. One of the things that was most frustrating was that a lot of the time Red didn't feel like himself. It felt like he was scrambling. He didn't know what to do. That's not Reddington. Even when he doesn't know what to do, he still seems like he has everything under control. So to have him be all like, I don't know what's going on, you know, actually worried, it didn't feel like his character. I want his character to come back because it's missing again. You know, like having Liz die has really affected his character. We need to have him back. I want him to be back because that's one of the things that I loved about the show for the first season was James Spader as Raymond Reddington was awesome. Let's have that back. You know, let's get that back, get that going again. But moving forward, you know, this was still a transitional episode, so I'm not expecting too much out of it, but I am expecting at least maybe not next episode, but maybe 2 episodes from now, we'll be back into the Blacklist flow. We'll be back into it all. Get the show going again. Stop being so stagnant. You know, get a good story rolling, especially as we approach the end of season 3. So, those are my thoughts on Blacklist. What did you think of it? Comment down below. Let me know. If there's anything that I missed that you want to talk about, let me know. We can discuss it. Leave a like and subscribe for more of the Blacklist, and I'll see you at the next review. Peace out.